Parshas Chukas deals with the parsha of the Parah Aduma. Zos Chukas HaTorah Asher Tziva Hashem. And the laws of the Parah Aduma, the red cow, is described as the quintessential chok. It's a mitzvah that is beyond human comprehension. It's very difficult to understand the whole procedure, how someone who became defiled through the dead, and then you sprinkle, and then he becomes tahar, but the one who does the sprinkle becomes tameh. So basically, this is the mechanism, someone who became defiled, tameh mace, and that was the way they became pure. So the question is, Bizman Hazeh, in our day, we no longer have the Parah Aduma. So a person can never become pure. And let's take a Kohen, since it affects the Kohen the most. Does it make a difference today, the fact that we don't have a Parah Aduma and Kohanim Atameh? Would that affect the rules of the Kohanim coming in contact with the dead? So there's a famous machlokas, the Rambam and the Rabbi. Let's say if a Kohen is mitame lames, so for the 7 relatives he's permitted to. But in the case, let's say, where he's not, he's mitame lames, so he violates a lav, he violates a negative commandment, and therefore, so the Rambam writes, as long as he's still involved with touching the mace, it's all one thing. Tuma b'chiburim, but once he leaves the mace, and then he comes back, he violates another law. So every time, even though he didn't become pure in between, the Rambam writes clearly, there's a specific prohibition each and every time a Kohen comes in contact with the dead. So therefore the Rambam writes, even Bizman Hazeh, we don't have a Parah Aduma, it doesn't make a difference. The fact the Kohen's tameh, you could be mosif out tumaso, and each additional time you come in contact with the dead, you violate a biblical prohibition. That is the opinion of the Rambam. The Rabbi, on the Rambam in Hilchos Naziris, writes that no, that since Bizman Hazeh, since all the Kohanim Atami anyway, so therefore there's no Isser to be Mosif al Tuma. Therefore, once you're Tameh, that's it. You can't become more defiled, and there is no prohibition to come in contact with the dead. That's how it appears. The Rabbi says that it seems to be a fundamental machlokas Rambam and Rabbi, and whether today a Kohen could be Mitame Lameis, because we don't have the Parah Aduma. The Rambam writes each additional time you're liable, and the Rabbi at first glance seems to say it's okay. However, upon deeper inspection, we see that even the Rabbi himself doesn't really say it. The Rabbi at best would say it's still a biblical prohibition, but you might not get makis for, you might not get lashes or punishment, because that's what the Rabbi writes elsewhere, not that it's permitted. In fact, originally, no Rabbi Yehuda, the Dogam Rabbi, used this as a sad lakula to come in for, we'll see, part of his svek sveka, and one side of the svek sveka was that the Rabbi's opinion, the Kohen could come in contact with the dead. In other words, it's similar to like the Rabbi's position by the Kedushas HaMikdash. At first glance, it seems to be a fundamental dispute between the Rambam and the Rabbi. The Rambam writes it's prohibited, Bizman Hazeh, even though there's a Churban Habayis, the temple no longer exists, it's destroyed. Nevertheless, there's a biblical prohibition to come in contact with it's a biblical prohibition to go up to the Makam HaMikdash. And the Rabbi writes, "Hanichnas ata." No, when it goes up now, there is no penalty. Ein lo kares. So, at first glance, people want to say. So some opinions will say, according to the Rabbi, it's permitted. And that seemed to be what the Meiri writes about, that at certain points in Jewish history the Jews did go up by the Makam HaMikdash. But the Rabbi writes, some say it's mutter to go, others say no. If you look at the Rabbi carefully and based on other places, the Rabbi also holds it's prohibited. It's a biblical prohibition. He just says you're not chayiv kares. You're not liable to kares, but doesn't mean hanechnas ata, but doesn't mean it's permitted. And in fact, and that's why they explain, the Achronim, Rav Zolti, and others explain that there are really two different psukim about the Isser for a Tamei Meis to go into by the Makam HaMikdash. One place it says kares, another place it doesn't say kares. So Rav Zolti explains is when the Beis HaMikdash is up and the walls are there, then it's not only an Isser Daraisa, but Yechayev kares. When it's a Churban Abayis, it's still an Isser Daraisa. The Temple Mount has the Kedusha, except there is no Chayev kares. So they point out that this machlokas similar, this machlokas here by Tumas Meis, that either some say it's a fundamental machlokas Rambam or Ravid that today a Kohen can be metamel Meis. Others say no, really the Ravid agrees to the Rambam. It's a biblical prohibition. The issue is only if there's an Isser Kares. So that's one famous machlokas Rambam and Ravid. And there's another famous machlokas among the Rishonim, Tosas and the Rambam. And does this Tuma extend to a Gentile as well? So it's this machlokas among the Rishonim, and it's mostly regarding, most assume contact with the Gentile corpse is a problem. Being in the same room, is there a halacha of Tumas Ohel, being in the same room as a non-Jewish corpse? So some Rishonim say yes. The Isser of Tumas Ohel applies to non-Jews as well. And others say no, you're permitted to be in a place of, if it's a non-Jew, of Tumas Ohel. So how do we paskin? So the Mechaber brings down in Shulchan Aruch about not going to the Kivrei Yaakov, not going in, and the Ramah, as right, says as well, one should be zar, one should try to be machmir. So the way people learn it, the machlokas, the Mechaber Ramah. Mechaber says it's usher. There's less room for a Sephardi Kohen to be able to go into Kivrei Yaakov. For a Ramah, it's best to be machmir, but it seems to be there's room. There's room to perhaps to matter it. But either way, so someone to point out, no, and the fact that Shulchan Aruch says you can't go into Kivrei Yaakov, it's mashma we pass in Kivrei Yaakov. Is mitame. So other Achronim say no, it's not a raya. Maybe Kivrei Yaakov ain't no matami. The reason why you can't go to a non-Jewish cemetery because unfortunately you have many Jews buried there, and that's why. So you have two famous disputes, either whether Kivrei Yaakov matami or not, and whether the Rambam Ravid and whether the Yisr for Kohen to be b'tabe or not. So hence, as I think the Dogam Rabbi was discussing the Mishnah Lamelech about Jews being in the mummy business, the Kohen being in the mummy business. So he discusses this Sveka about, number one is maybe it's the Machokas Rambam and Ravid. Even if we go with the Rambam, maybe it doesn't apply to a non-Jew. I guess in the case you're assuming that you're not you're not actually touching it. In fact, it is the famous discussion of people discuss today whether a Kohen could attend medical school. So there are those who are very makbid and machmer and say no. Not being makbid, they think it's a halacha, it's a pasuk in Chumash that Amora Kohanim b'nei Aaron, and since today it's very little left that a Kohen could do, so one of the things are the issue of Tumas Meis. So therefore, a Kohen should not go to medical school, should not come in contact with the dead. However, is there any room to be makel? So some want to, so Ramosha quotes someone to say it's pikuach nefesh, it's life-saving. Alright, so Ramosha goes to death, it's life-saving. It's not life-saving going to medical school. It's once you become a doctor, then it might be a pikuach nefesh case. So Ramosha thinks Sechel Hashem, a Kohen doctor, a Kohen should not go to medical school, should not become a doctor. So some hold from the pikuach nefesh, and Ramosha says it's crazy because it's not pikuach nefesh. As No Yehuda writes in another area about autopsy, you need a chol miyafav. You need the chol in front of you now. If the chol is in front of you now, then we can be lenient and do the autopsy. And secondly, we have the Svek Sveka we mentioned, and maybe the Machokas Rambam and Ravid, whether a Kohen has to be Musar today, and second, if he does, maybe it doesn't apply to guys if they're being in the same room. There's a famous heter Rav Goren. Rav Goren talks about Cherav Harehu Kachalo, that there's a special, even though a Kohen can't come in contact with the dead, Aviyavos Atuma, but there's a special halacha, the Ramaz Meko on, that if a sword touched the dead, you could still hold the sword. And so in other words, the Rav Goren suggests, give him your metal watch or some other kui, something you're going to wear, and then you let him give it to someone to go to the cemetery, get a tameh, and then you go ahead and you put it on. Therefore, it's like the Rambam, you're basically always being connected to the dead, like you never left the dead, and therefore it's okay. Rav Schechters and others don't like this because they say the Yisr isn't the Tumas Meis, the Yisr is the Skravas, it's coming closer. There's no head to go to medical school knowing that you're going to have to come in contact with the dead. And they say over Rav Tendler, was lenient in a case where if you could work it out that you don't come in contact with the dead body, someone else does the work for you, your lab partner, so then in theory one could do it. Ultimately maybe we'll go into virtual medical school and it won't be an issue. The issue is in medical school, the issue is it could be dentist school also, the issue is coming in contact with the dead. As long as if it's just going to be computers and not cadavers, then there's what to discuss. We'll have to continue more about this later.